Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Hopefully you will find it informative. I'm going to discuss a few methods by which diseases are transmitted to commercial poultry farms. First, I'll start with transmission prevention, or ways to stop diseases from getting onto a commercial poultry farm. There are many routes diseases can take to get on a farm, including but not limited to people, equipment, pets, wild animals, and pests or insects. I'll be concentrating primarily on wild animals and insects. Both transmitter categories are attracted to commercial farms by the composting of routine dead birds. We are all aware migratory waterfowl carry a variety of diseases, most often not affecting the host organism. We are also aware stormwater retention ponds, sediment ponds, swales, and ditches are increasingly being mandated on large-scale poultry farms. Waterfowl, especially migratory waterfowl, congregate at ponds, lakes, streams, ditches, and even in large puddles. These waterfowl inadvertently deposit diseases in and on the banks around these bodies of water, primarily through defecation. These are the same bodies of water that local animals, raccoons, foxes, vultures, and many others, use as a source of drinking water. When tracking through feces or ingesting contaminated water, these animals become host. The same animals are attracted to farms due to the availability of easily accessible food in the composter. They then deposit the diseases picked up from the bodies of water in the composting area when they feed. Once introduced to the composting area, the diseases are spread to the poultry grow-out area through human activity, equipment, flies, or other insects, and even pets that accompany us during our daily routine. Biosecurity can be greatly enhanced simply by removing the food source. By placing routine mortality in sealed freezers, the disease's reproductive cycle is halted in the frozen environment maintained inside each container. The dead poultry are sealed away from scavenging animals without even smells to attract them to the farm. Flies and other insects are denied access to the carcasses for feeding and breeding. To illustrate this point, on April 21st of this year, I placed a game camera in the composter for the evening. The attached videos are but a small sample of the activity that occurred in the composter over the night. The disturbing fact is the man that helps me on the farm is walking through the area as he collects the dead chickens out of the houses. This is the same area where the animals are seen feeding and dragging carcasses away the entire evening. So you can see how this practice would dramatically reduce the number of wild animals and insects on a commercial poultry farm. Okay, now I'm going to shift gears a little bit and talk about disease containment, or preventing the spread from farm to farm. Transmission from one farm to another can have a devastating effect on a localized geographical area, especially as densely populated as typical commercial poultry operations are. There are excellent procedures already in place to control and limit human interaction between farms. There are policies addressing clothing, equipment, footwear and foot baths, vehicle sanitation, and many others. It's the things we have less control over that I'm going to focus on. In this example, we have 3 farms in relatively close proximity to one another. At Farm A, chickens begin to die at a faster rate than normal. The farmer doesn't believe there's anything unusual, and as always continues to compost the ever-increasing volume of carcasses. As it happens, the sick or diseased birds are always the ones dying and always the ones being taken out to the composter. Just like in our previous example, wild animals visit the composter to feast nightly. Those same animals now carry the diseases from the sick birds to local waterways where they can contaminate waterways or with other animals at neighboring composters where the diseases can be spread to more poultry. By containing mortality in on-farm freezers, all pathogens associated with the dead birds are contained, greatly reducing the potential for spread to nearby farms. When composting is done properly and all conditions are controlled, it can be a very effective disposal method. However, the nightly activities of scavengers disturbing the layers of material and large volume of material to be composted both negatively impact the composting process, creating ideal breeding grounds for insects to harbor and spread disease. The way the practice has been established on Delmarva, routine collection of freezers occurs between flocks. Enough capacity is placed on the farm to get to the end of the flock, and after the flock has been caught, we would come and empty the freezers. The same time the crust out guys come and the power wash company would come. I want to make sure it's clearly understood that no collection occurs if a farm falls under quarantine. All mortality, regardless of the mortality management method, would be disposed of in accordance with the state veterinary emergency response guidelines. Typically, compost or freezers would be placed in a house for in-house composting with the depopulated birds. I hope you have found this informative and educational. It is our hopes that by sharing the biosecurity advantages of this BMP or best management practice, we can help protect the poultry industry and the many farm families that rely on it for their livelihoods. Scientific white papers are available upon request, detailing these transmission pathways and identifying the 87 diseases known to infect poultry that scavenging animals and insects are proven to transmit, including avian influenza.